Chapter 17 carries a heavy 4-mark weightage on your exam. To get full credit, you need to write a structured 120-word-long answer. This single breakdown covers the exact data and definitions you need from the syllabus to hit that mark. We start with a strict definition. Look at this settlement. Poverty is the condition where people lack the absolute basic necessities of life: food, clothing, and housing. The textbook defines families living below the poverty line with specific characteristics. They do not get 2 meals a day. They suffer from high child mortality, illiteracy, and lower life expectancy. Because of this, children are forced to take on family responsibilities at the age they should be learning. Notice the grain sacks in this storefront. To establish a baseline standard of living, the government identifies these lowest income groups as Antiote families. Through the public distribution system, they receive ration cards to fulfill monthly requirements for rice, wheat, sugar, and kerosene. India possesses abundant natural resources and raw materials, yet due to defective planning and a lack of skill training, proper utilization hasn't happened. This structural failure leads to the textbook's central irony: poor Indians live in rich India. The exam requires you to know how poverty is measured. We identify it 2 ways: by family expense and by family income. We also separate absolute poverty from relative poverty. If person A earns $10,000, person B earns $20,000, and person C earns $30,000, person A is relatively poor compared to B. The numbers get specific here. To calculate the absolute poverty line in 2011-12, the Planning Commission of India set the per capita expenditure at 816 rupees for rural areas and 1,000 rupees for urban areas. International metrics grade the same timeline differently. The 2011-12 UNDP report calculated India's poverty at 21.9% of the total population. Meanwhile, the 2012 World Bank standard used a baseline of $1.90 per capita income to determine that 32.7% of the population was poor. On a national map, the extremes are clear. Chhattisgarh registers as the poorest state with 36.93% poverty. Goa has the lowest at 5.09%. Gujarat sits in the middle at 16.63%. Memorize the exact percentages for Chhattisgarh, Goa, and the UNDP report. The examiners frequently target these 3 specific statistics for the 1-mark objective questions. The syllabus contrasts the causes of poverty with the eradication strategies. The reasons stem from a reliance on traditional agriculture, illiteracy, and a lack of alternative employment. The government strategies counter this by reforming landlordism, enforcing the Land Ceiling Act, and attempting to equalize income distribution. That brings us to the poverty alleviation programs. The syllabus lists 13 schemes. We group them to make them digestible. Group 1 focuses on agriculture, like the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana for irrigation. Group 2 tackles rural infrastructure, such as the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana for 24/7 electricity. Group 3 targets food security, primarily the Ma Annapurna Yojana. Group 4 builds self-employment, including Mission Mangalam for women's skill training and the Bajpai Bankable Yojana for urban and rural youth. This visual represents the most critical scheme, Manrega. It guarantees 100 days of wage employment in a year for one person in a poor family. Its core objective is enhancing the livelihood of unskilled labor, driven by the slogan, "Our village, our work, with reasonable price." For a 4-mark answer, do not write out all 13 programs. Select exactly 4. Explain their distinct target audiences, like farmers, tribal women, or unskilled youth, to prove to the examiner that you understand the breadth of the policy. The second half of the chapter is unemployment. The textbook defines an unemployed person as someone between 15 and 60 years old, who is qualified and ready to work at the prevalent wage, but cannot find a job. This strict definition specifically excludes housewives, the handicapped, and those unwilling to work. The syllabus identifies 6 types of unemployment. The trickiest to distinguish are frictional and structural. Frictional unemployment is short-term, caused by the friction of introducing new technology. Structural unemployment is long-term, existing in developing countries due to rigid, backward social structures and illiteracy. Look closely at these FAR workers. When more people are working a job than are actually required, they are visibly employed but practically unemployed. Which of the 6 types is this? This is disguised unemployment, and it is most common in the agriculture sector. By 2013-14, the Labor Bureau recorded an unemployment rate of 5.4% in India, while Gujarat maintained a lower 1.2%. To reduce these numbers, the government promotes programs like Make in India and establishes higher education institutes like the IITs to close the skill gap. This IT office highlights the final concept, educated unemployment and the world labor market. When a country spends heavily to educate its workforce, but those skilled professionals migrate to foreign countries for better opportunities, it results in brain drain, a direct loss of human capital. The chapter PDF ends with 14 questions. Based on what we just covered, you already have the data to answer them. Question 2 asks for the definition of poverty, a lack of basic necessities like food, clothing, and housing. Question 5 notes the concept of poverty was first propounded by the director of the WHO. And for question 11, the 2011-12 poverty rate reduced to 21.9%. Here is exactly how your final answer sheet should look to secure all 4 marks. Write a brief introduction, divide your answer into 4 to 5 bolded headings, and underline your specific statistics. By combining the socioeconomic definitions of poverty and unemployment with the exact state percentages and scheme names, you satisfy the 120-word requirement and guarantee maximum points on the exam.